Where are we today, Aga?
Today we are in Rohan, aka Middle Earth, aka New Zealand, South Island. We are still here. And in front of us is Rohan, or well, Edoras, the capital of Rohan. So this mountain is called Mount Sunday. And on top of this mountain is where they built the whole city of Edoras.
You're such a nerd. Anyway, it's a good time for us to speak about the next part of our adventure in New Zealand.
Yes.
Last time we stopped at Nevis Track. What did we do this time?
Last time we did the Nevis Road, yeah. And now the past 2 weeks we did 3 really cool roads that I want to talk about. So it was the most dangerous public road in New Zealand, and then a little bit of off-road challenge with some unpredicted snowfall and mud, and some bike falls as well. And then the last we did a beach ride, and it was actually a very famous beach.
Very famous one.
Where we found out a lot more cyclists. So
that's really cool.
Let's go, enjoy these views and talk about the roads we did.
Let's go, let's ride on it.
Yeah, let's go.
Rohan.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's start with the Skipper Road. Why is it so dangerous?
Well, so it's actually a road that is carved in the face of a canyon, and it's very narrow. It's a one-lane road, and there are no barriers, and it's a gravel road with a lot of blind corners. The combination of this makes it actually one of the most dangerous roads. But yeah, you have to remember it's a two-way road, but it's a pretty scenic road.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Views are great. So you are, going in the face of the canyon, and you can see the river at the bottom. And actually, it's so scenic that they also use this to film some scenes from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he's such a nerd. Oh, and we didn't mention, but it's Skipper because it's named after the guy which discovered some gold there.
Yeah, that whole region was had a huge gold rush in the 19th century until the beginning of the 20th. Then actually at the end there is a 100-year-old bridge that you are crossing in order to go to the campsite, and that's really impressive. It's a 100 meters bridge, and then you have 100 meters drop. That was really cool.
Really the link between the two parts of the canyon. But I think that if you take the side roads, which is called the branches, it's even more dangerous, but even more jaw-dropping, the view. There is part where it's really, really narrow. You better not miss the corner.
Yeah.
And, the view at the end is very nice.
Valley. You can see the river and the mountains and the huge valley. That was really impressive, actually. That was a really cool road, and it's just next to Skipper's. So you can put your tent in the Skipper's campground and then go there. It was really nice.
This, or you can camp out some historical huts, right? Because you can see some of the huts of the early inhabitants. You can still camp there. It's really peaceful place.
Well, it wasn't that peaceful when there was a gold rush, because actually when we read the history in the village, it was a lot of outlaws coming to get the gold. It was a no man's land, more or less. Like they were just coming, putting a little hut next to the gold spot they found, and they would just stay there and mine all the gold until it runs out. So there was a lot of theft and stuff like that. It was a pretty lawless land, I think. Now it's very peaceful.
The winter were very, very harsh.
Yeah.
So you can imagine at the start wasn't easy there.
But they had a pretty sizable community because they even built a school and everything. So yeah. it's interesting to see how they lived before.
Then we went and we did another track, which was very scenic, more technical actually than Skipper, far more technical, the Old Woman track. And we had to go back to Nevis Road to do that, but it was really worth it, right?
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, as you said, it was more technical because there was actually a lot of snow that we didn't expect. Snow and mud.
Yeah, that make it more difficult, but really worth it for the view. I mean, with the snow on top of the mountain, way more cool, right?
Yeah, right. You and your dad jokes.
No, but that's true. If you look at the Nevis Road the first time we passed, it wasn't as beautiful.
Yeah, true. The second time, all the mountain tops in the horizon, they were covered in snow. That was really cool. And then we did that trek and we went until, I think, 1,600 meters. And after that, we turned back because the road was actually covered in snow. It was going way up and then we couldn't do the whole road, unfortunately.
Yeah. And speaking about that, it's dangerous on snow. That's why we turned back, right? Because you almost crashed into me.
Yeah.
So lesson learned.
Lesson learned, yeah. Don't stay too close when there is snow and mud.
Yeah, we need to be careful on that kind of road. So we went back down, and then you said, yeah, you want to see the hut down there, right? So a sidetrack on the hut. And you were quite nice, actually. You went directly into the closest stream of water that you found. That was really nice of you to try to clean up the tires.
Yes, you see how thoughtful I am? I went into the mud puddle and then straight to the stream.
Oh, so nice of you. It just took us another 30 minutes to take out the bike from the ditch. And I'm really glad, again, that we had the light back because, yeah.
Happy it was only 130 kilos you had to pull out and not a 200 kilo bike.
So lucky on that front.
Yes, that was an epic fall, I mean.
But once we finished that, once we took out the bike from the ditch and look a bit at the hut, we went down and we went back to the Remarkable, which is, it's really a breathtaking spot.
So after that, actually, the weather got worse and it was raining and it got super cold. But we went all the way down to Invercargill in the South Island of New Zealand. And we went to do a beach ride, and actually it's a very famous beach among motorcyclists, and so is Invercargill.
Can you speak a bit about the story behind this beach?
That's where Bert Monroe, that's where he was training to beat the world record for the fastest motorcycle under 1,000 cc's.
Yeah, 270 km/h, right? And part of his life got turned into a movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you know this movie with Anthony Hopkins, the world's fastest Indian. So this is a story about him, and he's actually from that city, Invercargill, next to that beach. And he was training on that beach to beat the record, and then the actual record he beat it in the US, in Bonneville Salt Flats.
Yeah, it's too bad that you didn't try to beat his record with your WR. I'm sure you could have managed 270 per hour.
I'm not sure. The sand and all, I don't know. But anyway, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the beach was really cool. We had a lot of fun there. Very scenic place. The sun is actually quite firm, so I think that's why he chose this place to try to, it's flat.
Rain, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. But then it started to rain again, and we went to see a motorcycle collection, probably one of the most well-preserved and beautiful collection we've seen in our travel.
If you like bikes, go to Invercargill. There is a lot of history there. You can see also the replica of the fastest Indian. And then, as you said, a lot of old bikes. I was so impressed, like more than 100-year-old bikes in perfect shape and condition, all shiny. It was really cool.
It was a good end to the week. That was really an awesome week. Is there anything that you need to add?
Well, so we are, if you missed the previous videos where we talk about different roads that we enjoyed in New Zealand, you can go check them out. They'll be somewhere on the right or on the left, I don't know. And then we'll see you in the next one, because our adventures in New Zealand or in Middle Earth are not over.
And yes, the next one is going to be probably the most scenic and technical at the same time road that we've done so far. See you there,
Yeah,
back in New Zealand.
catch you later in Middle Earth.